Sharp Game here, coming at you with another episode from ChooseYourRelationships.com, author of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. And P.S. and by the way, check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Sharp Game. And go check out all my books that's on Amazon.com. Now, today, I'm going to talk about why younger women will always date older guys. And, I have to confess that I used to be one of those guys that used to look at older guys with younger women when I was younger. And I used to say, she's only with him just for money. Have you ever said that before? Have you ever looked at a couple and said, hey, I don't understand why she's with him, And see, as I've gotten older, because, the guy that I used to talk about, the older guys that I used to talk about back in the day, I'm one of those guys now. I'm the guy that I used to talk about. I'm an older guy now. I'm in my 40s. And I realized over the years that a lot of stuff that I used to think back in the day, most of it turned out not to be true. And, it's been a journey on how things come about mysteriously sometimes. And it comes about even when I least expect. Some of my experiences I've had is kind of mind-blowing, in a positive way most of the time. And sometimes certain things that happen kind of change how I see certain things. And some of the experiences I've had, I don't talk about it a lot because the average guy is going to have a hard time believing it. Because the average guy can only see what they've experienced or what they've seen through other people or through themselves or on the television. And that's the trick. The television, everything you see on television is limited. They only give you what they want you to give or what they want you to see. And everything is based on a certain narrative that they want to be driven in society. So I used to be one of those guys that used to, I had a lot of different ideas. Most of it turned out not to be true. But over the past 6 months, 12 months, I've been meeting a lot of younger women because you have to know that when you hit 40s, when you get in your 40s, you have a wide range of women. You have the younger women that's in their late 20s, 30s. Then you have the older women that's in the 50s. And I haven't went to 60 yet. I haven't went that far yet. For me to go to 60, she got to be smoking. She has to be somebody that I can learn from for me to go hit the 60 range. But anyways, that's what happens when you hit the 40s range. And I've learned that it doesn't really matter how old or young a woman is. If you can deal with one, you can basically deal with all of them. Doesn't matter where she's from. It doesn't matter how she grew up. It doesn't. None of that shit matters because at the end of the day, you have raw attraction. It's just raw to the core. And you don't pick who you want to be attracted to. That's the thing that a lot of people don't get. We don't get up in the morning and say, hey, I want to be attracted to this person. Now you might get up and say, hey, I want this type of person. You don't get to pick who you want to be attracted to. It's not like a choice. Just like you don't get to pick who you want to be, your mother or your father. You just happen to be a part of something that didn't have anything to do with you, but you're a product of what happened, how you got here, who you've become. That's all it is. But so at the core, we get conditioned after a while, but you still don't pick who you want to be attracted to at the end of the day. I mean, you can kind of like become like a robot, like a lot of people. They'll think what they want something, and they'll perpetrate the fraud, or at least try. They don't do a very good job of it. A lot of women don't do a very good job of this, even guys, but especially women. Now, you can kind of like manufacture certain relationships, like mail order brides, or some other type of other type of relationship or whatever. You can do that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're attracted to each other. That doesn't mean that y'all have a spiritual connection. That doesn't mean that y'all have a connection that's even genuine in most cases. So two people can be together, but that don't mean that they're connected. So that's why I say, regardless of how old or young a woman is, if you're in your masculine and she's in her feminine, if she's masculine, that's not going to work. You can't have two masculine beings together. That's not going to work. Y'all going to bump heads. But if she's feminine and you're in your masculine, women are always going to be drawn and connected to you. They're always going to warm up to you, regardless. I don't care if your nationality. I don't care where you're from. I don't care how you grew up. None of that matters. At the core, women like masculine men. Now, some women are broken, but even still then, sometimes you can get past that if you stay around her long enough. But I realize that there's some people that are broken inside. I mean, the negative energy is so obvious, and it's so it'll kind of like burn you out or drain you if you stay around them long enough. But if you stay around her long enough, and if you stay in your masculine form, she will warm up to you after a while, regardless. This is just science. This is just nature. This don't have nothing to do with the narrative that's going on in society, what's on television, and all the politics. And I don't care what's going on in society. I don't care what narrative they have. I don't care how many negative images they show of black people or non-white people. I don't care what they show on television. I'm going to always socially be able to connect with women worldwide. I don't care. I don't care what negative politics and all the rest of the BS that you see on television or what you heard, all the stereotypes, negative or positive. None of that's going to affect me at all. I'm still going to do what I'm going to do because I wasn't always like this. But as you grow and you become more of a man, because becoming more of a man is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Like some people say, hey, man up, but they don't understand that you can't man up overnight. You can get started, but it doesn't happen like that. Everything's a process. You can't manufacture men. That's the narrative that they want in society. They want guys to act like robots. They want men and women to behave like robots. And they want to basically program everybody to, let's pretend we like each other. Let's have things go a certain type of way because that's a part of the status quo. But at the core, it doesn't matter where this woman is from. Women like masculine men, and that's what they're turned on by masculine men. It doesn't matter if you're black, you're white, you're whatever, Chinese, Japanese, whatever the case is. If the guy's masculine, women are going to warm up to the guy, period. That's just what it is. That's just not my opinion. This is scientific, and this been working for me for years. This stuff worked for me even before I could explain it to you. I mean, I didn't even know what I was doing, but it was working. I guess that's the best part about it. When you have experiences and you don't really know how it really goes down, but you like the situation, you like the experience, you're enjoying yourself. That's the best part about it. So when I meet a lot of younger women, I usually give them some game. I usually, find out what they got going on, or if they got anything going on, or if they're thinking about having something going on. And if it pertains to what I'm doing, or if I can help her out in some type of way, I usually find a fair medium ground. I say, hey, you know what? I can help you with that. If you help me with this or whatever, I try to make it a win-win situation. And what I've found is a lot of younger women that are open they'll reciprocate. They'll be down with it for the most part, because I think a lot of times, a lot of women have different relationships with guys, especially younger women. And I think a lot of times I kind of catch a lot of younger women off guard, because most guys, older guys especially, if they see it, they like younger women and they be wanting to smash. But I take it a step further. Instead of trying to smash, I'll be like, hey, I'm trying to, make your life a little bit better. And at the same time, make my life a little bit easier. So, hey, maybe we can be partners and do something together. And if it works out for the long term, that's cool. If it doesn't work out for the long term, some form of relationship, that's cool as well. But I don't really have any expectations or whatever. All I do is ask for your time, and that's pretty much it. But most guys that a lot of women meet, they just want to smash, and they fuck their brains out and just keep it moving. They don't really try to give them no game or anything. And that's the average guy, but especially older guys that I've seen over the years. They just want to smash. And that it doesn't necessarily have to do with the woman. She could be a pretty cool girl. But a lot of times, the younger women, for the most part, they don't have very little baggage, if any. But as women get older, they tend to be a lot of women tend to be masculine, or much more masculine than the younger women, because they go through stuff. A lot of them got beat up through life, and a lot of them divorced, single, with kids. So and depending on where they live at and how they grew up and their family, that has a lot to do with them being in their masculine and feminine. So it really depends. But see, younger women don't really have a lot of experience like older women. So they haven't had all those trials and tribulations, and they haven't met a lot of the scumbag guys that a lot of older women have met. You can't, if you meet an older woman that's 50s and 60s, you can't really play her or fool her with no game. Your best bet is you can just be honest with an older woman, because she's probably met every type of guy you could probably think of. So, that's why I want you in the 40s. You're kind of like in the middle. You have older women and younger women, and younger women, younger women have much less baggage than older women, and they're very feminine and much more friendly. And if you're a masculine guy, 9 times out of 10, she's gonna warm up to you. Even if she never thought about hanging or talking or dating a older guy, if you that dude, if she thinks you're the truth, it is what it is. It's gonna happen. I don't necessarily know what type of relationship y'all gonna have, if y'all gonna smash, have sex, or whatever the case is. But if you stay around her long enough, and you're a masculine guy and she's a feminine girl, 9 times out of 10 it's going down. That's been my experience. It is what it is. So whenever you see an older guy or a younger woman, just know that most of the time it's not what you think. It's not just about the money all the time. Now, it's very few situations that's like that, just about the money. And whenever I do see a older guy with a younger woman, I usually can spot those situations much quicker if it's just about the money, because it's gonna be obvious to me. But in most cases, it's much more than about the money. So, if you like what you heard, and go buy my book. I talk about this in my book, the masculine and feminine energy or whatever, in my book. So Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. And go check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Sharp Game, and check and follow me on Instagram. It's Sharp Game. That's my handle. And go get the gear. I'll put the link below. If you go to my website, chooseyourrelationships.com, and if you click on the shopping tab on my website, you can find all the gear, t-shirts, cups, accessories, hoodies, bags, whatever you want. I got it all there, So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, leave it below this video. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.